Hey everyone, it is Havel High here bringing another video on Avengers Endgame. In this video we're going to be talking about what exactly happened to Captain America. So just right off the bat, this is a spoiler heavy video, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see Avengers Endgame and come back, watch the video. Hopefully it will help you understand exactly what happened to Captain America. So spoiler warning out of the way, let's go ahead and dig into it. So there's a lot of confusion about what happened to Captain America at the end of the movie. As we know, he goes back and puts all the Infinity Stones back and comes back as old man Captain America and talks to Sam, bequeaths the mantle of Captain America to him, the shield and all that good stuff. And people didn't really understand at the end. Then you see him dance with Peggy Carter is how he got back to the current main timeline, and everyone have the theories of, oh well, he actually married Peggy Carter, so in the current timeline they didn't show the husband's picture, so that means that there's two Captain Americas within that. All that stuff didn't happen. I've seen this movie now 5 times, and I could understand in the first or second viewing you can think that might have happened, but let me tell you exactly what happened to Captain America. So let's go back into the movie, because all throughout the movie it will give you hints and help you understand the ending to this movie. So let's go into the middle of the movie and talk about when Hulk explained how time travel works in this universe. So what Professor Hulk said, this is right out of the movie, right? Professor Hulk says, think about it. If you travel to the past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future. Nebula says exactly, and then Ant-Man says also Back to the Future is a bunch of BS. And yes, so a lot of people are still thinking into the whole Back to the Future type of mentality, where if you go back to the past it can change the future or the current main timeline, which it cannot change the main current timeline. So if you went back to the past like Captain America did, he has a relationship with Peggy Carter. That doesn't mean anything changed within the main story and main timeline. So back in Winter Soldier or Civil War or all these things that happen within the MCU, none of that actually changed. What we find out through the Ancient One is that it just skews the timeline. There's a new, in a sense, alternate universe that skews from that moment in time, but the main timeline stays the same, because your past cannot be your future, right? So or you can't change the future because you're in the past. But that's what everyone needs to understand when it comes to the dynamics of this movie, and all these other theories that are out there doesn't make any sense, and I'll exactly tell you exactly what happened. Now this is my opinion, but logically speaking, this is exactly what happened to Captain America. So what happened was, when he was sent back to put all the Infinity Stones back, he was sent back 2012, 2013, 2014, and 1997. And in 2012, he had to put back the scepter. He had to put back the time stone with the Ancient One. In 2013, he had to put back the ether and also Thor's hammer. Don't forget about Mjolnir. He had to put that back as well. In 2014, he had to put back the Power Stone and the and the Soul Stone. I don't know how he actually ends up doing that. So in 1997, he has to put back the Tesseract. Now, what exactly happened was he went back and did all this, right? Once again, the Soul Stone, I actually don't know how he ended up doing that, but he ended up putting all these items back, and he said to himself, well, you know what, I'm gonna take Tony's advice, live my life. So one thing he had to do was he had to get another thing of Pym particles, because his trip should have had a trip to 2012, 2013, 2014, and 1997, and then return. So in a sense, he would have 5 Pym particle capsules, but he knows where to get more Pym particles, and that's in 1970. And a lot of people think that he went back to 1970 to live with Peggy Carter for the remaining time of his life, but that is incorrect, because in 1970 that is Director Carter, and she's very old at the time. And if you remember, at the end of the movie, Peggy Carter is actually fairly young. It actually looks exactly like when she was in First Avenger. So you have to think, okay, he didn't go to any of these times to live. He actually went back when he was frozen. Now there is a moment in time, so let's go. He actually went back into this year, I believe. All right, 1945, because there's a moment in Avengers Endgame when after the whole 5 years later clip comes around, he actually talks to the group and says, you know what, in 1945 I went into the ice and, you know, lost my loved one, my girl, in a sense, Peggy Carter. So he said the year, and that stood out to me. I think the third time I heard it, I was like, oh, 1945, that's the time he went back to basically spend the rest of his life with Peggy Carter, and that's exactly what he did. Now the issue is, a lot of people don't realize, is he actually went to 1945, had this life, but then came back into the main timeline. That's the only way that he could have met up with Sam, with Winter Soldier, and the Hulk at that moment in time. He had to come back forward in time to the main timeline with that last Pym particle. But when did he do it? Well, I'll tell you exactly when he did it, because he did it actually in 2000, going back here, in 2012. Now, why did he choose 2012 to come back to the present, to 2023? Because by the time 2012 rolls around, Peggy Carter unfortunately was having dementia, and he didn't want to leave her. However, he had to, because in 2012 he was found in the ice, and he knows that. He does not want to cause any more problems like he would have done if he would have stayed in that timeline with two Captain Americas. So in 2012 he decided to come back into the main timeline. That's when he's older, and he sat on the bench waiting for Sam to arrive at that moment in time. So how old is actually old man Captain America at the end of the movie? Well, I did some math for you. All right, so Captain America Steve Rogers was born July 1st, or I'm sorry, that's not July 1st, it should say July 4th, of course. I'm going to fix that right now, because that is a typo. July 4th, Independence Day, of course he did. So July 4th, 1918. Then he actually went into the ice in 1945, thus his age was 27. Now the Avengers happened when he was on Earth in 2012. And that's when we're assuming, it could have been 2011, but assuming that's the year that he was on Earth and he got that mission and everything there. Let's say it just didn't take him too long to get his mission from Nick Fury there. So we're assuming it's 2012 there. And then from 2012, when that's the main story, Captain America, that we know is 2012 to 2023. That's plus 11 years. That makes him 38 years old during the Endgame part, except for the end, which is old man Captain America. So what he did was, from when he's 38, he went back into time, right? And he actually went back to 1945, like I said, and met back up with Peggy Carter, lived their life until 2012, that's 67 years, and then transported back into the main timeline. And that there, he would be 105 years old. And that right there is exactly what happened to Captain America. He did not go back, change any timeline. Well, he actually changed one timeline. I'm not even going to go into the different timelines that were created, or different alternate universes that was created because of all these situations. So all 2012, 13, 14, 1970, and 45 now can possibly all have alternate timelines. But in the main timeline, he came back. He was old. He was 105 years old. He sat down in that spot knowing that they're there looking for him. Sam came over, and basically the end of the movie happened. And that's why you didn't fast forward or had a flashback back with Captain America dancing with Peggy Carter, the young Peggy Carter from 1945. Anyway, hopefully this cleared things up for you, because I think a lot of people just had various different ideas, but like I said, after watching it a bunch of times, you really get it, and they actually dropped a lot of clues throughout the movie to help you understand the ending of Captain America Steve Rogers' story arc. And in a sense, this probably is the end of his story arc. Of course, we don't see him die, but he is 105 years old at this point in time. So anyway, with that, hopefully this provides you a lot of information. I guess if you can disagree with me, feel free to disagree with me, but I researched and had a logical response to exactly what happened. So comment below, agree or disagree with me. If you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. And thank you guys for watching. We will catch you next time.